Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat malam, good evening everyone. Today we will talk about our topic, effort to prevent and minimize risk and hazard in every step or every stage of nursing process. In last meeting, we have talked about what are the risks and hazard in assessment, also in intervention and evaluation. So tonight we will talk about how to prevent, how to reduce the risk and hazard when we are, as a nurse, do all of our job in healthcare facilities. Yeah. As we have talked about that hazard in conducting nursing process are biological hazard and chemical hazard, also physical, ergonomic, and psychosocial hazard. In last meeting, we make all of these hazard into three parts: non-physical hazard, physical hazard, and mental hazard. For biological and chemical hazard, we conclude it is in non-physical hazard, and while the physical and ergonomic hazard into physical hazard. Maybe some of you can guess or explain what are the biological hazard that we can find if we are conducting nursing process. Andi Nuriski, can you mention what are the biological hazard? Herlina Hairunisa, can you mention chemical, physical, ergonomic, and psychosocial hazard? One of you, can you give the example? Yes, please.
I try, nurse?
Yes, of course.
So biological hazard that I know is a thing like microorganism,
Yes.
like virus and bacterial.
Okay, right. How about chemical hazard? Or any one of you can mention what are the chemical hazard? No one?
Minas.
Yes, please.
Rizky Novaliza.
Yeah. Please mention.
Chemical hazards such as acids, caustic substance, cleaning products such as toilet cleaners, disinfectant, glues, heavy metal including mercury, lead, cadmium, and aluminum.
Okay.
That's it, nurse.
Good for the answer. While physical hazard, especially for example, noise, yes, radiation, falls, ergonomic hazard like we lifting some tools, yeah, and some musculoskeletal disorders. While psychosocial hazard about shift work, violence, stress, and burnout in our work. If nurse develop an infection, yes, of course they may spread the illness to others. Spread of illness to others, it means that nurse, if they do not use or do not do something to prevent the spread of illness, they give the hazard for the patient and the family. So we should to know all of the hazard and risk in our office, yes, and how to prevent the risk and the hazard. We move to the next slide. How to prevent occupational risk in healthcare. What can I do to minimize or to prevent the occupational risk? Are conduct written risk assessment for staff hazard. So the occupational health staff should to make an assessment for all of staff in health facilities, of course, like hospital and primary care. We call it puskesmas in Indonesia, to find what are the physical, what are the chemical, biological, ergonomic, and psychosocial hazard that staff face every day. And another step to prevent occupational risk is assess risk and estimate degree of risk annually. So we do not just return the risk or conduct the assessment, but we should assess. We should to find out what are the hazards that can face of our staff. We move to the next slide. It's about bloodborne infection among nurses. It is one of the biological hazards that we can find when we are in hospital or primary care. About the bloodborne pathogens, International Federation of Infection Control said that each year 3 million healthcare workers, include nurses, are exposed to bloodborne pathogens through a percutaneous route. 2 million are known to be exposed to hepatitis B, 900,000 to hepatitis C, and 170,000 to HIV. However, underreporting of injuries can reach 40 and 70%. So there may be many more unreported. Known exposure result in 15,000, 70,000, and 1,000 infection respectively. And more than 19% of these infections occur in developing countries. Of course, also happen in Indonesia. What are the blood-borne infection transmission is 95% of HIV, zero conversion in healthcare workers caused by needle stick injury. So we should aware how dangerous of the needle stick injuries, because it can make us get HIV virus even we do not do another risk behavior. Only through needle stick injuries we can get HIV. Okay, other biological agents we can see in the table of International Federation and Infection Control that the biological agent are likely to cause human disease. For example, bacteria in yogurt and yes, in beer. So when we know this biological agent, we should make the we should select the behavior or our about diet to consume some food product that contain yogurt and yes. Another biological agent that can cause human disease and might be a hazard to workers. It is unlikely to spread to the community. There is usually effective prophylaxis or treatment available. And we can see also here that hepatitis B, C, and HIV, yes, they have prophylaxis or treatment that available for health worker or the patient, but we should to make a serious concern of about this. And how to prevent all of the hazard. Step one is eliminate the hazard. Number one is reduce the number of injection by providing oral medication. So when we are in hospital as a nurse, we can suggest the physician who give the prescription about medication. We suggest for them to give oral medication for patient if it can be done, because when we provide the medication through injection, there are many hazards that can we get when we provide it. The second step to eliminate the hazard is assign a central hospital for treating highly infectious patients. Maybe you can see when COVID-19 when COVID-19 are fine in were fine in Indonesia. Some hospital is some hospital be the hospital who should to treat the COVID-19, while another hospital did not treat it. Like in Makassar, only some of hospital who treat COVID-19 patient, such as Unhas Hospital, Wahidin, and some others hospital. But the hospital like Bahagia Hospital or Hadijah Tiga Hospital do not treat the COVID-19. It is done because it can eliminate the hazard. So the patient only treat by the specialty of nursing or medical staff who know how to treat the COVID-19, and the hospital have many equipment to treat COVID-19, which is should be treated by special equipment. The second risk reduction that we can do to eliminate or to reduce the hazard is remove or isolate the hazard. The first step is use safety needle. The suggestion is to use single-use needles designed to retract or cover the sharp end immediately after use. If we use the needle, which is can be used double and triple, it means that there are many hazards when we use it many times, because if you use is in the second and the third, we will get the hazard when we should to disinfect the needles and reuse it, and when we prepare the equipment. So the first that can we do to reduce the risk and hazard from needle stick injury is hospital, or we can suggest hospital when we are a nurse to use safety needles, especially single-use needles. The second step is transport blood specimen in leak and puncture resistant boxes. We should to use this. We should to do this to prevent the needle stick injury also. And use puncture resistant waste box for discarding sharp item. I think you have see what is the puncture resistant waste box in our laboratory. You can find it yellow beans or box yellow. That is the puncture resistant waste box to place the needle that we have used before. The third risk reduction, organizational measure. What we can do in this organizational measure is limit number of staff members caring for a patient with certain illness, such as tuberculosis or MRSA. Because if many staff member treat or caring the tuberculosis patient, it means that many people can get the infection, because the transmission will be easily to move to the other person if we are contact very deeply. And for the second, in organizational measure, train staff nurse regularly in safe work practice. Yes, of course, we should to train the nurse and other healthcare workers, because sometimes, yeah, the health workers can um, have the knowledge that expired, and of course, the updating technology uh, should be known by the healthcare workers to, especially to prevent the hazard and risk in healthcare facilities. The third of organizational measure is establish an occupational safety committee. So the best hospital should have committee of occupational safety. And for the fourth, consider every patient to be potentially infected with hepatitis B or C or HIV. It means that we should treat all the patient by considering them that they have hepatitis B, C, or HIV. So when we treat and consider every patient have this illness, we will aware to use PPE or APD in Indonesia, so we can do our job safely. For the fifth step is strict adherence to standard precaution or routine practice. It means that all of the healthcare workers should to um, to strict to adherence all of the rule how to prevent the hazard and risk by uh, by do all of the standardization. For the next organizational measure, audit compliance with prevention measure periodically. Uh, the occupational health nurse or other staff that have a job to audit this, to audit the compliance of healthcare workers, uh, to of course should be periodically uh, audit the compliance, because when we are do or conduct audit compliance, all of healthcare worker will aware, will do all of the standard precaution uh, time by time, because there are supervisors who supervise them when they do their job, which is have many risks and uh, hazard. The next risk reduction, evaluate use of personal protective equipment or APD in Indonesia. For example, gloves. Glove means handscoon in Indonesia. Yeah, when we use glove, we should to discard it and change between patient. It means that if we treat one patient and should to move for the next patient, we should to change the glove or handscoon that we use for the first patient. And if we have minimal gloves in the room, uh, we use it only once, or if we should to use it again, we should to disinfect only through 2 or 3 times maximum. So for the fourth patient, we do not allow to use the glove, the reuse glove. For the gowns, if we use gowns, we should to use the gowns if there is spills or splashes. It can protect us from the chemical fluid or others which can go to our gowns. So our clothes in under of the gowns will protect. For the second, in that we should to aware in using gown is change the gowns between the patient. If you have three of six patient when you are in shift, night or morning or afternoon, we should to make sure that we have two minimal two gowns, or if we do not have the single-use gowns, but we prefer to use single-use gowns because if we use the same gowns to other patient, of course, we will become the agent to transmit the illness. For the fourth that should to make the consent when we are use the gown. If used several times, put on and remove it without touching the outer potentially contaminated side. So if we should to use the gowns several times, we should to make sure that our hand or other side in our body do not touch everything that we consider that the part maybe can touched by the contaminated site. Yes, the next risk reduction for evaluate use of personal protective equipment. For eye goggles or face shield, we should use it if there is spills or splashes. And what we should to make the concern is we should to disinfect the eye goggles or face shield regularly and if visible soil. For masks and respirators, if we use N95 or FFP respirator with a tight face seal, use if a risk of exposure to airborne pathogens. So if we are not in the room that airborne pathogen, we can use other masks like medical surgical mask. For the next, develop written standard operating procedure. For medium and high risk activities, we should to know, we should to make the standard operating procedure to prevent the transmission, and we should include staff protection and vaccination recommendation. It means that all of the staff, of course, nurse should uh, make the concern about how to protect yourself from the risk and hazard, and the nurse also should to get vaccination because they are the one of the staff who are in risk and hazard, especially the infection illness. For the next risk reduction, provide a medical examination for all nurses. Examination records and other health information should be kept confidential and stored in a secure place. Nurse should doing the examination minimum 6 months in once, and repeat it periodically. It can make it can be the record how healthy the nurse are. For the next risk reduction, provide vaccination, hepatitis, influenza, or COVID-19 if the vaccine is available. About needle stick injury, in some of low resource countries, maybe it still can be in Indonesia, especially in the primary care. What should to do about needle stick injury? We should concern about recapping of needles. Recapping of needles sometimes should to do by the nurse because the minimum of needles available in healthcare facilities. So if we should do recapping of needles, make sure that we recap it in the correct way. What is the next that may cause needle stick injury is unsafe handling of sharp waste. Sometimes if we are in hurry, the nurse can handling the sharp waste with the unsafe way. They sometimes when they do not have gloves, they only get the sharp waste without gloves, and they forget to wash their hand. This is one of the example, the unsafe handling of sharp waste. The other causes of needle stick injury: overuse of injection, lack of supplies, disposable syringe, failure to place needles, passing instrument from hand to hand. Yes, if you are in the operating room, we want to give the surgeon, maybe we want to give the needles or with the syringe that will surgeon use to do the one of the procedure to the patient. We passing the instrument, and it sometimes can make the injury, the needle stick injury to the surgeon or other staff. What of the causes in needle stick injury also because of lack of awareness to the problem. Sometimes the nurse or other medical staff or healthcare workers do not have the awareness about how dangerous of the transmission illness through needle stick injury. And of course, the causes of needle in stick injury sometimes because of lack of training for the staff. Okay, we move to the risk of bloodborne pathogen transmission. 30% because of the risk of transmission of bloodborne pathogen from an infected patient to healthcare worker by a needle stick injury. For example, 30% for hepatitis, 3% for hepatitis C, and 0.3% for HIV. So from the data, we should aware that we are nurse is more at risk on hepatitis B through needle stick injury. For the hepatitis B prevention, post-exposure prophylaxis varies with immune status of healthcare worker. If a healthcare worker or nurse and vaccination, what should be done to reduce the risk and hazard to get the hepatitis B is receive both hepatitis B immune globulin and HBV vaccination. If the nurse have previously vaccinated and known antibody responder, there is no treatment for them. If they are previously vaccinated, non-responder healthcare worker, they both HBIG and HBV vaccination or 2 doses of hepatitis B immune globulin 1 month apart. This slide show all of you what should be done by nurse when they are in this category to prevent hepatitis B. For the prevention of hepatitis C, currently no recommended post prophylaxis for hepatitis virus. So what should be done to prevent hepatitis C are perform baseline and follow-up testing for anti-hepatitis C virus and alanine aminotransferase up to 6 months after exposure. And perform HCV-RNA and RNA testing at 4 to 6 weeks if an earlier diagnosis of hepatitis C virus infection is desired. And the staff member who developed the hepatitis C should be treated after seroconversion. For prevent HIV virus, the post prophylaxis should be start as soon as possible within 2 or 24 hours, not after 72 hours. Consider contraindication if they are in pregnancy, and medication taken for at least 4 weeks. 6. Expert consultation if the viral resistance is suspected. In case no PEP is available, perform HIV antibody testing for at least 6 months post-exposure. Perform HIV and antibody testing if an illness compatible with an acute viral syndrome occur. And advise exposed person to use precaution to prevent secondary transmission during the follow-up period. Okay. HIV PEP may not be available in some countries. Therefore, attention should be given to using PPE and safe practice to avoid injuries. How to prevent TB? Establish a tuberculosis control committee in Indonesia. Some of the primary health care or puskesmas are the primary care who are in tuberculosis control committee. For the second step is increase awareness about TB among HIV positive patients. It means that all of the patients who have HIV positive should be aware about TB because they are the person who at risk of TB. To increase the awareness about TB among HIV positive, we should to place patient with suspected TB or with an abnormal chest radiograph in an isolation room because they can be the agent to spread the TB infection. For the second, with door closed and a special ventilation system, we treat the patient with suspected TB in the room that have door closed and have the special ventilation system. We should to place automatic closing device on all TB isolation room doors. We should to continue isolation of TB patient until at least 3 negative and ensure that all all healthcare workers entering the TB isolation room with using N95 or FFP mask. When we are in procedure to induction the sputum, we should to restrict this procedure in special room because the sputum induction procedure may make us or others to be in the environment that can spread the infection. For the second prevention of TB, assign adequate number of trained staff to perform routine and urgent acid-fast bacillus smear on daily basis. Because if the untrained staff do this, it will make them are at risk or get the hazard when they do the procedure. For the next is initial anti-TB treatment regimen should include for drugs TB patients should only be allowed to leave their rooms when medically necessary and must always wear a surgical mask. So if we treat the patient, the TB patient should wear the mask, not the people, not the other people near them. So who used to use who should to use surgical mask when we treat the TB patient is the patient that get TB patient, not us as a nurse. And for the next is forbid immunocompromised staff from contact with or caring for TB patient. As the summary, healthcare workers or nurses exposed to biological, chemical, physical, ergonomic, and psychosocial hazard, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, HIV and TB pose the greatest risk of infection. Infection with hepatitis B virus is preventable with immunization. So all the nurses should get the vaccination, and written standard procedure on how to manage needle stick injury should be available, known to all staff, especially nurses who always use many procedure with the needle. That's all for the material for topic today. Tonight, yeah. If you have any question, please unmute your microphone or you can use the chat. Please, some of you, if you want to ask about our material. If you do not have any question, may I ask all of you? Hello?
Yes, nurse.
Yes, nurse.
Yes, nurse.
Yes, nurse.
Anybody want to ask about the
Nurse.
Berlian or Nur Aziza?
Brilliant, nurse.
Yes, Berlian, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for the time has been given to me, nurse. As explained by the nurse earlier, biological hazard include viruses that cause hepatitis B, C, HIV, TB, and AIDS. What I want to ask is how do we behave as nurse, or how do we cope or protect ourselves from contracting the above disease while we are in the hospital? I think that's it, nurse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Berlian. From the slide about risk reduction is all the step how to make us safe in our job. For the example, reduce the number of injection. This is the way to reduce the needle stick injury, to reduce the needle, so we can prevent our self from needle stick injury. But of course, there are some conditions that made us should use the injection. We just try to suggest medical staff who prescribe the medication to get the patient to provide the medication by oral medication. That is one of way to make ourselves in safety procedure when we help the patient to take their medication. Another way is assign a central hospital. Of course, this is about the policy. Yes, make sure that our head of hospital know how to make their staff in safety uh, in the safety environment by if they do not have the good equipment to treat highly infectious patient, we should to suggest them to send to send the patient or to refer the patient to the best hospital who can treat the highly infectious patient bestly. And another risk reduction that can we do to make ourselves in uh, safety environment when we are doing our job is uh, remove, isolate the hazard. And another step is organizational measure that I have explained you before, and evaluate the use of personal protective equipment. It means that if we are in the nurse position, we should to use glove, gowns, eye goggles, yes, masks, and other personal protective equipment to make sure that we are in safe environment, work environment. And yeah, to make sure that we are always safe, of course, we should, the nurse should doing the examination, health examination, to make sure that many of the pathogen do not in their body. For the 7 is we should get the vaccination. I can mention it. For the first is we should to eliminate the hazard, remove, isolate the hazard, organizational measure, evaluate use of personal protective equipment, provide medical examination, and vaccination. 7 steps that we can make ourselves in safe environment when we are treat the patient or doing our job in hospital or other healthcare facilities.
Yes, nurse, I got it. I understand, nurse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Berlian. How about other student? Do you have any question?
My eye nurse.
Adin Rizky, yes, please.
So thank you for the chance. My question is hospital or a clinic in Indonesia already providing information or a training about preventing hazard for health worker? That's my question, nurse. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Andir Rizky. I know how I can find that how concerned you are when I explain all of this. Of course, all of this that are the risk and hazard that can we get when we are doing our job in hospital. I can get how anxious you are. So that we should to make sure that our place to do our job is safe. Of course, all of the hospital, all of the healthcare facilities should know all of this. Maybe you even hear about the accreditation, hospital accreditation, puskesmas accreditation, right? Some of uh, the how the hospital and puskesmas can good accreditation if they can make their staff in work in safely. So don't be afraid. All of the hospital and other healthcare facilities should know this. If they do not this, or they do not do all of the procedure that can make their staff in do their job in safety environment, the permission of the the permission of the hospital and the puskesmas will they will do not give the the permission to give the treatment for the patient will be finished by the Kementerian Kesehatan or other quality control. That's all, Andi Rizky. You do not afraid. All of the healthcare facilities in Indonesia should know about this.
Thank you so much for the answer, nurse.
Okay, welcome. Other student, do you have any question about it? Is our meeting enough? Hello?
Yes, nurse.
Yes,
Okay, so thank you for your present tonight. Hopefully that all of that I explained to you beneficial, and you can do all of this to protect yourself, to make you when you are as an be the nurse and practice your competence. Make sure that you are always in safety, and of course for your patient and other healthcare worker member in your hospital or other place that you do your job. So maybe enough for tonight. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good night.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Thank you,
wabarakatuh.
nurse.
Waalaikumsalam. Makasih, Nak.
Thank you, nurse.
Nurse.